Good evening to you all. I am very, very happy to do this for the launch. I wasn't going to, but an idea came to me and I felt, believe me, I felt ashamed of myself. I am proud to say that my book is being launched and launched here in Jerusalem, in Palestine. So much better, frankly, much better than having my book only launched in, of all places, Washington. Yes, I thank IPS in Washington and in Palestine and in Lebanon. But it is special, something very special to me, that I am talking now about the launch of this book in Jerusalem. I'm very grateful to the IPS branch in Ramallah for printing the book and for doing the launching. I have lived outside of Palestine for some 60 years, but I am a Palestinian through and through. Believe me, I remain committed to my country, and I am, by the way, a Jerusalemite. I was born and raised in Wad al-Jawz in Jerusalem. I was taught at the Kuttab when I was 3 years old. I was sent to sit to Sheikha Bakriya, and she taught me the Quran, and she taught me some Arabic, believe it or not. And then I was taught at Dar al-Aitam al-Islamiyya, at the house for orphans, to put it briefly. I was taught there. And then I was taught in Hebron, where I spent 5 years at the Al-Alaiya School for the Blind, Al-Madrasa Al-Alaiya Lil-Makfufin. And then we moved to Lida, and I stayed in Lida until 48. I went to a Ramle High School for 2 years, and then I went to Yafa, Al-Amriya School, and this is where I matriculated. It is possible that I am the first and last blind student to have graduated, to have matriculated from under the British mandate. I don't know, it is possible, but so what? People ask me the silly question, why did you write this book? And they ask me another equally silly question, who is your audience? Really, I wouldn't write a book because I am thinking of a special community to read this book or that book. I write because I want to write, because there is something inside me pressing upward and forward to come out. I lived, I'm not going to say my life is unique. No, parts of it may be a little bit, aspects of it may be unique, but really nothing, there isn't much that is special about my life, except this. This is special not because of my life, but it is special because it is special to all of us. This book deals with the period of my life from 1932 to 1948. That is to say, from the time I was a child until I became a boy, just about to on the threshold, shall we say, of manhood. Now, it is established, and I think it is a fact that doesn't even deserve discussion because it's so clear that children, whether they are in America or in Europe or in Palestine or in India, they are children. And their experiences are pretty similar, believe me. Sometimes they are even identical. A child is so close to the root of life, so close to the root of life, that whether he is here or there or anywhere, he is still a child. So all children, in other words, all children have similar experiences. And so my book is for all people to read about children, because I am writing about my childhood and boyhood. So this is my audience. Anywhere, anybody who is interested in the life of a child may find something worthwhile in this book. Where the growth of the child, how the children play, how the children are educated, how the children feel, anything, they are similar. And that's why the book is there. Now, there is something else about this book which has some sort of universality, and that is the blindness of this child we're talking about. I lost my child, I lost my sight when I was a child, when I was an infant indeed. My mom says I was 9 months old when I lost my sight. Okay, and so I was taught, I was raised, and I was taught, and I grew up as a blind child. Now, blindness again is a phenomenon which is not as big as the phenomenon of childhood, but it is big enough, pretty universal. How a blind child is taught, how a blind child is looked at by his family, by his friends, is an experience, shall we say, an experience everywhere. There isn't a country which doesn't have blind children and blind people. In America, there are more than 7 million blind people, by the way, but I don't want to tell you. I have a very good story, but I won't tell it now about this. 7 million people, anyway. And so I do talk in this book about my blindness and about how I was looked at as a blind person, how my parents taught me, how they did their best to ensure some sort of future for me, the mistakes they made, which everybody does, and the correct things they made, which everybody does, I hope, too. I was treated like every blind person, I bet you, as a strange thing, as a strange phenomenon. Here is this blind child. Why is he blind? I don't know, maybe God made him blind. Why did God make him blind? Well, maybe it's a curse laid on the blind. Is it a curse really? Or maybe it isn't. Maybe it is a blessing. I mean, if you go to Homer and read about Demodocus in the Odyssey, Demodocus was blessed. He was blind, but he was blessed with a very sweet voice and with a genius for singing poetry. But also, so he was blessed here. But also, you could be blind because God cursed you for some reason. And I found, believe me, I had both. Some people would tell me, when I was a child, remember, they would tell me, God cursed you, and that's why you are blind. And thank God you are, because if you were not, God knows what you would do. But some other people would say, God, God must have blessed him, and that's why he is able to do this and do that good thing and great thing or whatever. So blindness is important in this book, and I think the blind deserve to be treated objectively everywhere, and sometimes they are, sometimes they are not. So when ست الشيخة بكرية in الكتاب treated me just like the rest of the children. Believe me, she was very, very, very gifted instinctively though. She was not educated, she knew very little, but except that she had the natural intelligence, and so she treated me very nicely. At the Reja-e School for the Blind in Hebron, we were taught pretty similarly to the sighted children, pretty close, but not completely close. And then when I graduated from that school, I had a little bit of a difficulty getting admitted into public school, right, with the sighted students, but I got in after some fight, thanks to the stubbornness of my dad or my father, who insisted, and they let him in. Get him in, they said, provided that he does well. If he doesn't do well after 3 months, kick him out, right? We agreed.